Well, we've started playing in yellows and oranges now. I'll tell you my colors first. I would make a mauve from cobalt blue and alizarin crimson. And mostly alizarin crimson by far. So we have a very reddish purple. Keeping the value down, no white in it yet. Then we add a little bit of white and we add a little bit of yellow ochre, so that we get the hint, the feeling that it's still yellowish, it's still yellow foliage, but it's in the distance. It's in the distance a little bit, right? Then we come down a little closer and we remove the blue. So now we're going with yellow ochre and alizarin crimson. Sort of intermittently, I suppose you could say, kind of bouncing all over the place. I stayed away from the cadmiums here. I went with a fairly high value, putting in a bit of white down here because I wanted the glow off the bottom. I wanted some drama here. I didn't want all the punch right here. I wanted to spread it out a little bit. And given these bushes are coming a little closer, I began to use yellow ochre, cad orange light. What is this? No, it's just called cad yellow. Winsor Newton cad yellow, which seems weird to me because it looks to me more like it's pretty orange. Anyway, that's what it says on the tube. I'm going to call it cad orange light. I'm going to call it cad yellow deep, which is very different than my other cad yellow deep, but okay. Who knows? So we've gotten into our cadmiums here. Our close hillside tumbles down to the water. I'd like to bring it back up again here with some strength and some interest. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for right now. I'd like the greater intensity, I think, to be in certain areas right against the ground here. Like I have somewhat of an interesting shape going on here. So I think I'd like to, I'm going to shorten that for starters. But I think I'd like to make that a silhouette. That's kind of eye-catching right there. I like the idea of it. Now in a case where I have so much bush that's kind of indistinguishable, I'm sort of painting individual trees-ish, but I'm not being too concerned about it. What I'll do is I try to get some design in it and try to get the whole thing covered from one end to the other, this band of hillside and bush. And then once it's on, I'll revisit it and try to just organize a few areas here and there. I think that's kind of that's the way I'm going to approach it anyway. Do the tidying up later. Get the main information on now. And if I have one stroke that doesn't connect quite correctly in my mind with another one, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to keep going. Because I know I'm going to come back and play with it later. My highest chromas in the bush are going to be sort of around here-ish. Really down here mostly. But as I move off towards the right-hand side of the painting, we are fading off with our cads, and we're beginning to get back to yellow ochre and alizarin crimson. Funny shape. I don't know what this shape is. To be determined. Coming to a theater near you, but I don't know. I don't know yet. I just know that I find something kind of interesting about it. This shape I like too, tumbling down. Now, of course, it's directly over this bump. don't worry about that. This bump might very well get moved in much tighter here, this rock, you know. But I realize that this is directly above the other, so that's going to change. But again, I'm not going to worry about it until I have to worry about it. Okay. And my tendency is, as always, to go in with too high a value too quickly. So I'm trying to be a little bit wary of that. There, I just did a little bit of, what was that? Burnt sienna and white. Okay. A little more cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, a bit of white, just a bit of white for this edge. You know, this is rounded. I want the shadow side here, that more distant bush, the sunlight's catching it from behind. I guess I should stop explaining things like that. They become obvious as the painting progresses. So I'm leaving an abundance of shape here. Some are going to be gone by the time I come back and have a look at it. No, some will go once I come back and have a look at it. They don't magically disappear on their own. Okay. That bit is in the shadow. Back into the light a little bit. Not as strong as this, but a little stronger. And so on, and so on, and so on. We'll square the camera again, as usual. I think it's a good idea, if I remember it, to do it at the end of each little video. So you can see we have our real strength right there. That's all going to change. It's very clumsily done right now. That's fine. I'm just laying in roughly what I want, where I want it. I'm going to groom it. And then we taper off a little bit as we go to the right hand side of the canvas. But you know, in spots like that, you've got some pretty solid smears of straight cad and a little bit of white. Cad yellow deep and a little bit of white. And then that's high value, but it's lower chroma. That's got a little more yellow ochre, titanium white, hints of alizarin crimson. All right. We'll see you a little further down the line. Hope you've had a great weekend.